In this episode, we will explore three types of stories that have a long and successful history in human culture. These are creation myths, legends, and parables, which are common to all cultures throughout history. Although we may initially perceive these traditional forms of storytelling as outdated, a closer look at contemporary literature, film, and popular culture will give us reason to reconsider this viewpoint and delve into the origins of some of our modern-day most popular ways of telling stories. Are creation myths simply subjective stories that express the concerns and aspirations of a primitive, bygone era? Or do they reflect a profound sense of awe and inquisitiveness that is characteristic of human nature? Although our contemporary accounts of creation are considerably more scientific, these days we remain just as fascinated with poring over literature and watching films that explore the beginnings of the cosmos and existence as our ancestors once were. Legends are truly good at changing shape and surviving history in ever new guises, and in an age where a wide range of media is readily available, they are thriving. Currently, we have more legends in circulation than at any point in history, as we will see examples from the past as well as from our time later on in this episode. Parables have been a potent tool used by philosophers, prophets, and writers throughout history to convey moral messages and encourage listeners to view the world in innovative ways through vivid metaphors. The use of parables by contemporary writers is often very different. Kafka, Gibran Khalil Gibran, and Borges, for instance, give the form an unexpected twist. Gibran's parable teller is not a wise man but a mad one, just as is Nietzsche's. In the age of internet, through an example, we will see how parables have been used in ingenious ways to help us understand our current world issues. In the rest of this episode, we will thoroughly examine these three narrative modes and attempt to shed light on their contribution to the emergence and development of storytelling, and explore why they are still relevant and often used today in ways we all relate to yet take them for granted. So let us get back to origins. The intimate link between storytelling and myth is sometimes expressed by describing storytelling as myth-making. This comparison is due to the fact that both practices are primarily concerned with creating and conveying meaning. Storytelling is all about our place in the world. It seeks to explain the inexplicable, helping us to comprehend and process the many mysteries that surround us. Creation myths aim to provide answers to fundamental questions, including one's identity, purpose, origin, existence, time, mortality, and afterlife. Accounts of creation are some of the earliest attempts by humans to answer these fundamental questions. It is worth remembering that we live in a highly organized and ordered world when compared to centuries, if not millennia ago. Today, most of us can plan our days and months ahead with ease. Furthermore, access to food is generally abundant, and our specialist scientists are capable of providing solutions to most of life's problems. In stark contrast, only a few centuries ago, the world was vastly different from what we know now. People in ancient times had little control over the environment and were at the mercy of fate. The world was far more chaotic than today, with humans constantly on the move in search of food, and mortality rates were very high. This disorderly world needed explanation, and creation stories provided that as well as other functions. There is no better way for meaning-making than returning to the beginnings, and this is precisely what creation stories aim to do. Termed cosmogonies, from cosmos meaning the world and gonia meaning to give birth, these narratives explore how the world began. They delve into the beginnings and strive to clarify the origins of things. This is a universal pursuit in all cultures alike. Let us define creation myths for clarity and listen to an example after that. According to the folklorist Lauri Honko, the myth of creation is widely defined as a story of the gods, a religious account of the beginning of the world, the creation, fundamental events, the exemplary deeds of the gods as a result of which the world, nature and culture were created together with all parts thereof and given their order which still obtains. Then creation stories tell how it all began. As such, the main characters are gods and other supernatural beings. The events are set in the formative era of the cosmos in the distant past. The main themes are believed to be ultimate natural events, such as the origins of the physical world, of the gods, of human beings, and of the cosmic order. Now, let us listen to a creation story from the tradition of the native people of Australia. Once the earth was completely dark and silent. Nothing moved on its barren surface. Inside a deep cave below the Nullarbor plain slept a beautiful woman, the sun. The great Father Spirit gently woke her and told her to emerge from her cave and stir the universe into life. The Sun Mother opened her eyes and darkness disappeared as her rays spread over the land. She took a breath and the atmosphere changed. The air gently vibrated as a small breeze blew. The Sun Mother then went on a long journey. From north to south and from east to west, she crossed the barren land. The earth held the seed potencies of all things, and wherever the sun's gentle rays touched the earth, there grasses, shrubs, and trees grew until the land was covered in vegetation. In each of the deep caverns in the earth, the sun found living creatures which, like herself, had been slumbering for untold ages. She stirred the insects into life in all their forms and told them to spread through the grasses and trees. Then she woke the snakes, lizards, and other reptiles, and they slithered out of the deep hold. As the snakes moved through and along the earth, they formed rivers, and they themselves became creators like the sun. Behind the snakes, mighty rivers flowed, teeming with all kinds of fish and water life. Then she called for the animals, the marsupials, and the many other creatures to awake and make their homes on the earth. The Sun Mother then told all the creatures that the days would from time to time change from wet to dry and from cold to hot, and so she made the seasons. One day, while all the animals, insects, and other creatures were watching, the sun traveled far in the sky to the west, and as the sky shone red, she sank from view and darkness spread across the land once more. The creatures were alarmed and huddled together in fear. Some time later, the sky began to glow on the horizon to the east, and the sun rose smiling into the sky again. The Sun Mother thus provided a period of rest for all her creatures by making this journey each day. Stories of creation start with a sense of time and space. The story we have just heard highlights the importance of place, specifically the primordial earth when gods resided there, while everything else was in a state of limbo. During this time, the earth was shrouded in darkness and silence, characterized by chaos. Humans and culture did not exist yet. In the indigenous Australian mythology, this time is called the dream time or dreaming. It refers to the time when ancestral beings such as gods shaped the world. Stories of creation depict a transformation from disorder to order, from darkness to light. As conveyed in the myth we just heard, life arises from the light of the sun or sky, and creatures then emerge from caverns beneath the earth as if from a womb. Creation stories are generally classified into 5 distinct categories. The first one is creation by a supreme being who exists before the creation of earth. This wise and powerful deity then, through the power of the spoken word, creates the earth. These stories show man's respect for the magic of the spoken word. In his book, Art and artist Otto Rank suggests that poetry descends from this belief in the power of the word as it was expressed in religious and spiritual incantations. As such, the priest or the poet could control things by naming them. By evoking their names, they could even bring back past events or even the dead. Next, there is the creation through emergence. In this type of story, creation emerges through its own forces from under the earth. As such, it is similar to a metamorphosis process or birth from its early stages to maturity. To explain this myth through a familiar metaphor would be to say that this category of creation bears resemblance to the seed growing out of soil. The third type is creation by world parents personified in the sky and the earth. The mating of the primordial father and mother results in a change in which we move from chaos to order. The sky is the source of the impregnating heat and light, while the earth beneath it is the fertile womb. The myth we listen to falls in this category. As the sun shines on the earth, creatures begin to emerge from caves to populate the land. The fourth type of creation story is from Cosmic Egg. In a Tahitian myth, the deity of creation resides solitarily within a shell. Upon emerging from the shell, he creates his counterpart and together they undertake the work of creation. Finally, there are stories of earth rising from the sea. An essential element of the story is the primordial waters that were present before the creation of the earth. In the 8th century BC India, Samkhya philosophers traced the origin of the earth to the creation of space out of the void. Air was later generated from space and then fire from air. Fire in turn gave birth to water and water to earth. Each of these elements gave rise to one of the 5 senses: hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, allowing perception of the created world. The significance of landscape in creation stories is widely recognized. Creation myths frequently reflect the natural environment, which both stimulates wonder and contributes to the imagery of the very origins of existence. Landscape is not only the backdrop for these stories, but also a vital aspect of the symbolism and the forces of creation. Many of the creation myths from around the world are centered on particular landscapes and themes that are regarded as the origins of the universe and life. The first type of myth is linked to the sky, which generally symbolizes the father figure. The emergence story, on the other hand, is associated with earth. The earth's symbolism is significant since it represents both the mother who bears children and the emergence from beneath the ground, much like a seed sprouting. Then there is the extreme world of ice, the watery world of the sea or rivers, and the subterranean caves, all of which symbolically represent creation. One example of a captivating aspect of the deep connection between culture, spirituality, and the natural world is in the creation mythology of the indigenous people of Australia, in which the rainbow serpent shapes landscape, which in turn gives life. The rainbow serpent is often associated with water, fertility, and the creation of life. According to Dreamtime stories, the rainbow serpent is believed to have traveled across the land, creating rivers, lakes, and waterholes as it moved. The winding paths it took are said to have formed the courses of rivers, and the rainbow serpent's presence is thought to bring life and abundance to the land. Stories of creation are set apart from other folklore genres due to their sacred nature. Followers believe them to be true representations of the worldview of their tellers. Today, human curiosity towards the beginning of life and the universe is more intense than ever before. While some believe in the Big Bang Theory as an explanation for the universe's origin, others hold fast to the cultural creation stories. The advancements in chemistry, physics, and biology have encouraged a growing curiosity in the origins of life and the universe. This topic remains a popular subject in popular science books, documentaries, films, and works of fiction. In contemporary literature, the impact of mythology is far-reaching, particularly in its reflection of our understanding of human nature as portrayed through fiction. Both myth and short fiction strive to extract the essence of human experience, defined by Charles May as a genre that concentrates on everlasting morals rather than ephemeral ones, and spiritual subconscious truth rather than mundane everyday reality. The short story shares significant similarities with myth. Time is a timeless concept in mythology, an attribute shared by many modern short stories. They portray events that distill the essence of humanity, making them universal. These stories approach mythic status as they illustrate and capture events that transcend time. While creation stories deal with deities and grandiose events, legends focus on historical figures who have been elevated to a status greater than that of humans. They tend to feature heroic individuals, kings, and saints, as well as supernatural events and the origins of place names. In contrast to myths, which concern primordial times and the creation of the world, legends tend to be grounded in history. Whereas myths explore how things began, legends reveal how life went on. Legends incorporate cultural traditions. They are stories passed down from the past, typically hailed as historical and true despite lacking verification. Legends often evolve over time and modified to maintain interest and relevance. The conventional usage of the term legend bears some similarity to its popular usage. For instance, we refer to someone like Michael Jordan as a basketball legend, which effectively merges both aspects of a legend: the actual person with a verifiable historical background and the embellishments that often accumulate over time and transform into something mythical. Thus, the transmission of legends from one generation to another alters them over time, culminating in a blend of fact, fiction, or the paranormal to create history. In terms of style, legends are less grave than creation stories, which are worthy of serious respect and belief. While legends may assert their accuracy, they can also be questioned or recognized for some level of embellishment, whereas creation myths are considered true by those who hold them. Legends and folk tales are both popular genres with distinct differences. As noted by the Brothers Grimm, the main differentiation lies in the poetic and historical nature. Where legends are considered to have some historicity, folktales are purely fictional and lack any historic elements as claimed by the tellers. To summarize, this distinction is to say that the presence or absence of presumed historicity, as well as the element of belief, is the main distinction by which folktales and legends are distinguished from each other. There are several types of legends: historic, religious, belief, and contemporary or urban legends. This segment focuses on historic and urban legends. Historic legends are stories about renowned individuals, locations, and events of the recent past. Typically, legends originate as oral stories that evolve over time. For example, King Arthur is a real person who became the basis of legendary tales from medieval England. The larger-than-life stories about him were created by the English author Thomas Malory. Another popular English legend is that of Robin Hood, who is a skilled archer known for robbing the rich to give to the poor. A third example is the legend of Dr. Faust. This legend is based on the character of a real scholar whose story was later embellished through tales to include fantastical elements like his use of alchemy and his deals with the devil. Legends about places and events center on how a particular place got its name, for example, or something that happened to a place. The legend of the lost city of Atlantis serves as a prime example for this category, as it describes not only the location but also the disappearance of a whole city. The Atlantis legend is an age-old tale passed down through several different cultures. According to the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, Atlantis was a highly advanced and powerful civilization that existed approximately 9,000 years before his time. It was believed to be a perfect society with exceptional architecture and technology. Atlantis was said to have been situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules and was governed by mighty kings who descended from the gods. However, the Atlanteans' increasing pride and ambition eventually infuriated the gods, resulting in the civilization's ultimate demise. The specifics surrounding Atlantis' demise vary, but various versions indicate that the city submerged into the ocean due to a catastrophic event. Even with multiple theories and speculations, the accurate location of the Atlantis remains unsolved. This adds a sense of mystery and intrigue to the legend. The legend of Atlantis has attracted the attention of both scientists and common people. The term urban legend emerged in the 20th century folklore studies. While it was previously thought that urban legends were a relatively new type of legend that replaced more traditional historic legends when societies became less rural, recent findings of urban legends dating back centuries prove otherwise. The use of the word urban in urban legends does not necessarily imply that the legends are confined to or originate in urban centers. Urban legends are distinguished from conventional ones in that they often involve something ostensibly fantastical yet feasible. Despite their fictional nature, these accounts are disseminated as credible stories. Urban legends depict events which supposedly occurred in the quite recent past, and they differ from historic legends where events took place a generation or more ago. Well-known examples of urban legends include the Bigfoot, a man-like creature that roams the forests of the world. This legend was the topic for many documentaries and oral tales that depict encounters with the creature. Another legend is the dinosaur-like monster of the Loch Ness in Scotland. This legend has been around for centuries, with the first recorded account dating back to the 7th century biography of St. Columba. According to this account, in 565 AD, the monster attacked a swimmer and was about to attack another when Columba intervened, commanding the monster to leave, which it did. Accounts of this creature date back even further to ancient stone carvings depicting a creature with flippers. In Latin America, there is the legend of the chupacabra, a beast that preys on domestic animals, feeding on their blood. Another distinction between historical and urban legends is that the narrator may attempt to lend credibility and authenticity to the legend by using the friend of a friend motif. For example, while telling the story, the teller may claim to have heard it from his uncle's neighbor's cousin or a similar acquaintance. By doing so, the teller enhances the believability of the tale by implying a personal connection to the events or individuals involved. Another way to establish the truthfulness of a story is by incorporating specific details such as real names, dates, locations, and events, which add a sense of realism. Although these details may be adjusted to suit different contexts, they provide a compelling framework. Many people claim to have seen the elusive creature, and there have been a number of unexplained Bigfoot prints. However, no conclusive evidence has yet been discovered to confirm the existence of the creature. The same applies to chupacabra sightings in South America, where the monster is described as standing upright, resembling a large reptilian kangaroo with red eyes. Yet, there is no solid evidence to prove the existence of the chupacabra. Other notable examples of urban legends, particularly in recent years, include sightings of extraterrestrial flying objects with blurred or unclear images captured on camera or radar. However, like other legends, they are a subject of controversy as conclusive evidence remains elusive. Finally, folklorists differentiate urban legends from other rumors, hoaxes, and conspiracy theories by their well-constructed plots that consist of a series of peculiar events culminating in a surprising ending. While urban legends were traditionally spread orally, they are now disseminated through various other mediums like print, digital, and social media, which makes them the most widely circulated stories in modern times. The parable is one of the oldest types of stories used by prophets, writers, and philosophers of the ancient world. Parables are mostly part of a rhetorical literature, which means that they are intended to make a difference to the listener or reader, to convince them of a moral lesson through a point, or to see the world in a new way through language and simple short stories. It is the striking or unusual use of language that brings about change. The parable works by analogy. The very short story draws a comparison or analogy between two ideas, and it does that by using concrete perceptible phenomena to illustrate abstract ideas such as moral lessons. Therefore, philosophers such as Socrates and Aristotle saw it as a medium to make people see the world in different and novel ways. It was also used by spiritual and religious traditions from around the world to enlighten people and to make a change in the lives of their followers. In modern times, the parable still has its appeal, although it is used in a different context and is drastically adapted to suit that context. It is Kierkegaard's use of the parable in his philosophical works that led to its use by philosophers and writers of modern period such as Nietzsche, Gibran Khalil Gibran, Albert Camus, and famously Kafka and Borges. We will see later on in this episode how they used this form in a very different way than its old version. Now let us listen to an example. The following is a Buddhist parable called "The Moon Cannot Be Stolen." Ryokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut only to discover there was nothing in it to steal. Ryokan returned and caught him. "You may have come a long way to visit me," he told the prowler, "and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift." The thief was bewildered. He took the clothes and slunk away. Ryokan sat naked, watching the moon. "Poor fellow," he mused. "I wish I could give him this beautiful moon." Let us elaborate on the characteristics of parables with examples from the one we just heard. Parables convey a simple, short story using modern settings drawn from everyday life situations that are simple yet true to everyday experience. These settings include the house, the market, the farm, and similar settings, as well as actions and behavior of ordinary people. The use of analogy is the key characteristic of parables. The parable entitled "The Moon Cannot Be Stolen" draws a comparison and contrast between two tangible concepts: the act of stealing possessions and the act of watching and admiring the beauty of the moon. That parables work by analogy by putting two concrete ideas side by side results in a parable having dual meanings. The first pertains to the story's narrative along with its commonplace elements, while the second touches upon the intended meaning which is implicit in the text rather than explicit. In the parable we just listened to, the meaning is found between two contrasting examples. Such relative ambiguity prompts the listener to ruminate and draw the intended conclusion. The master's reaction by giving the thief his clothes shocks the thief and confuses him. The thief, in turn, risks his life for something futile and meaningless, ignoring the beautiful and significant moon. The moral of the story is that we may invest considerable effort into a fruitless pursuit. It is only by re-evaluating our perspective and considering alternative angles through which to look at things around us that we may discover valuable and precious opportunities previously overlooked. Parables are not meant to entertain, but to convey a message and encourage critical thinking. However, it is an overstatement to suggest that interpretation in traditional parables is wide open. The meaning is already embedded in the narrative, requiring the listener to identify it. Thus, the classic parable is authoritative and didactic, using comparison to reject one concept in favor of asserting another that the teller sees worthy. As such, it delivers a sense of resolute purpose and profound significance. Despite any initial bewilderment, the narrator of the fable, "The Moon Cannot Be Stolen," conveys a somehow clear message. Modern writers use the form of the traditional parable for another purpose that is almost the opposite of what it was used for in the past. Nietzsche and Gibran Khalil Gibran reversed the role of the parable teller by using a madman instead of a wise one to tell parables. Gibran's collection of short stories is suitably titled The Madman and His Parables. Kafka and later Borges transformed the parable form into a medium that embodies contemporary uncertainty towards meaning. They repurposed the parable from its original use by prophets and philosophers as a means of expressing purpose and moral messages to convey a sense of ambiguity and lack of spiritual resolve and political authority. Thus, modern parable is more bewildering than enlightening. It takes the reader out of his or her comfort zone and pretty much leaves him or her there yearning for a revelation that is constantly delayed. In another contemporary context, parables remain a valuable medium to modern society for conveying important themes and sparking thoughtful discussion. Their ability to simplify complex concepts into memorable narratives is especially important in a world where people prefer to absorb information in bit-sized pieces. Parables remain relevant and influential by accessing universal truths and experiences, whether through literature, media, or everyday communication. The Parable of the Polygons, an interactive online story about prejudice, serves as an example. The game features a society of blue squares and yellow triangles presented in a grid. The objective is to relocate only the unhappy shapes to places where they are happy. At first, the bias is easily managed. However, as the population grows, the shapes bias quickly leads to visually segregated areas and the unhappiness is then out of control. This game operates similarly to other parables, conveying lessons through interaction with real-life situations where the player must make choices and behave as if in real life. Playing the game teaches readers about how seemingly simple issues can have significant consequences. This online game demonstrates the power of parables to make us look at everyday situations in a new and different way. In this episode, we discussed three ancient forms of storytelling: creation stories, legends, and parables. These modes have contributed to the emergence and development of narrative and storytelling, and they continue to do so today. Creation stories, found throughout all cultures, voice humans' obsession with beginnings and origins. They are humans' first attempt at understanding the origins of life and the universe. Legends, on the other hand, narrate how a nation or a group of people lived, how heroes fought, and how they were immortalized and idealized through storytelling. Urban legends are now disseminated through a wide range of media and are highly popular. Parables are impactful short stories that utilize metaphors to shock the listener or reader out of his or her comfort zone, leading to tangible transformations. Modern writing occasionally incorporates one or more of these modes of representation, creating intricate and highly creative texts.